I don't know what it is or isn't.
It is all things and no things at the same time.
Oh, shoot. I know what it is.
What's that?
It's time to start the show. Hey, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Runeterrable Radio, episode number 18, if my counting is correct, which it probably isn't. I'm your host.
Yeah, I don't know if it is at all.
Probably not. I am your host, Blevins. Joining me, as always, is Saucy Mailman.
What's up?
Oh man, I really need to auto tune it if I'm gonna be hitting those.
Saucy
Mailman.
There we go. There we go. It took a little time, but we got there eventually.
We have the technology. Okay, enough of that because I can hear the unsubscribes happening in real time.
Yep, it's crazy because we get notified every time someone's unsubscribes, and it is just like a solid tone right now.
Yeah, it's actually I have it set up to a little taser, and it amplifies. It's like a subtrain in Twitch, so like the more it like escalates. So it's
don't give people more reason because now everyone wants to unsubscribe.
It's extremely painful. All I'm saying is that you will cause me physical pain in real life. Not just emotional distress.
Unsubscribing.
Oh boy! But we're gonna try to talk about some Legends of Runeterra at some point.
We'll get there.
We've got a rough and I mean rough outline of a show today, so I have no idea how this episode's gonna go.
Yeah.
We've got at least like one solid topic to talk about.
Yeah, and I'm gonna put this out there. I'll take a good deal of blame for this because I'm still way more sick than I should be. I was thinking about it. I think this is the most sick I've ever been in my entire life because I was looking back. I have not streamed on Twitch. Today will be the 12th day,
which
is the longest I've gone not streaming since I started streaming like 3 years ago.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, so I'm sorry if you guys can hear like gunk in my throat. I'm sorry. I can't.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, maybe it's just because I haven't heard you healthy in so long, but you sound
there
fine
it is.
to me.
It's been so long. It's been years.
It's been 37 years.
It's been since the dawn of time.
Yeah, but yeah. So we've got a couple of topics here. I mean, honestly, there's just not been a ton of news in the Runeterra world for, I would say, pretty obvious reasons, but
yeah,
maybe not. I mean, we are in the midst of a global pandemic right now, so
yeah, as it turns out.
Also, if you're listening to this live, or even if you're listening to this in the future, it is April Fool's on the day of recording this, but I personally don't have anything planned, so I know that the biggest bait is saying that you don't have anything planned, and then I actually don't have anything planned for April Fool's today. So nothing that I'm saying is any more of a joke than it normally would be when I'm saying it. So
I feel like our whole show is an April Fool's joke.
Yeah, this is the whole thing. The April Fool's joke is Runeterrable Radio. Just look at the name.
We're just a joke. Yeah. I go back and forth. Like some years I think April Fool's is funny and some years I don't. And I'm just like, I don't have the physical or mental energy to even think about that as a thing.
Well, I think April Fool's is actually as a vehicle or as a content platform, or not even a content platform, as a content driver, it's actually a really cool thing. The problem is that, like anything, it's not April Fool's fault that people do it poorly. It's the people doing it poorly's fault. Like, here's my two examples. Great example of April Fool's is what Rivals of Aether did last year, which just look up what Rivals of Aether is if you don't know. It's basically like a Smash Bros. a third-party Smash Bros. Game. They made a joke game on Steam that was actually a real game for their April Fools. They're like, oh, for April Fools, we're making a furry dating sim. But actually, it's a real game.
So they went the whole distance.
They
and made
went
the
full 9, and I think I didn't double check everything that they did this year. I think they did something similarly epic this year as well. But yes, they went the full Monty. That
That's
in
awesome.
my mind is actually like top execution.
Wasn't there a Runeterra one? Was it an official one or not?
There
it.
was a Riot one that was basically like fake patch notes essentially, which I think fake patch notes are exactly down the line of that is the exact middle of April Fools. If you want to participate in April Fools and you don't want to do something too crazy, you don't want to just do fake patch notes. They're usually funny if you write them well. They're funny. Mort Dog, who's the head of the TFT team.
Mm-hmm.
He did a fake patch notes video, and it was great because the numbers are completely insane. Like he buffed. He's like, hey, we did a slight buff to Wukong's health. He now has 4.5 million health.
Instead of 850.
Right. He's like 850. You know, we found that he really wasn't acting. He wasn't really tanky enough, so he buffed off his health a little bit. And we think, and he does the whole thing in a single take. I don't know if it was his first take, but it was one take and just completely deadpanned.
Dude, he's so good at that though.
He's so good at it, and so that I think that's a good execution of it. Still pretty, like, I would still put that sort of in the middle, but definitely on the upper side of middle.
That's like effort was put in. I have a couple of these patch notes that are actually pretty funny.
Yeah.
So they removed Shadow Isles as a region,
Mm-hmm.
which is something some people are asking for. But then to make up for it, they added Elnux as a region.
See, that's
so
good. It's so good. Those are good. Things like that are just funny. Embracing a community meme and doing some sort of art or something behind it on the official channel is a good one. I think they did that for Brawl Stars. That was pretty funny. What else was there? Oh shoot, I'm forgetting what other ones. Oh, Hearthstone actually did one that I thought was pretty funny for their Tavern Brawl today. It's like you can play your favorite your favorite heroes of all time, but all of the heroes that you can pick are trolls.
That's pretty good.
That one's pretty funny.
Didn't they do Overwatch? They put it like googly eyes.
Oh, that was what I was thinking of. Yes, they put
Overwatch
made googly eyes for all the characters, which is another like pretty innocent one. I wouldn't put that in like S tier like what Rivals of Aether did, but all of those are good. The ones that aren't funny are just lying. Like, oh, hey, I'm dying in 2 days. JK, I'm not. It's like, okay.
Oh, my wife had an affair. Like, now I'm concerned. Hold on a minute.
It's not funny. It's low effort. It's just, I'm kind of torn on I saw multiple videos of parents in the, in quarantine, like, tricking their kids into thinking that they have to go to school today and that the quarantine's over. That's like kind of funny, but it's also extremely mean-spirited, but also it's kids and it's sort of it's a fun thing to like break the routine of it a little bit. So I'm a little torn on that because it is definitely mean-spirited.
Yeah, it's still kind of crappy.
Yeah, but it also like, you know, it's doing something, and I don't know. So I think I'm mystery on that, but like
we just need Elnix as a faction. I need this to now be real.
Yeah, I did. I also liked the Slasher is posting that he's got Valorant keys to give away, although that's been a meme for a while. So like embracing the meme, like taking the meme that's been happening and turning it to 11 is good. When it's like if you're kind of doing that, but you're just tricking people into like I've seen a lot of people posting, like people are just copy pasting what Slasher is saying, and that's that's fine. Again, that's like pretty neutral. I mean, it's low effort, but it's pretty neutral.
Yeah.
But when people are like modifying it and making it seem like it's real, that's less. That's like you're
And
just
then when they're
lying and
actually
tricking
selling
people.
the keys on eBay,
Right.
there you go. That's
Yeah.
the next level.
You're just tricking people. So it's like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, I like it when the companies like completely embrace a community meme.
Mm-hmm.
Like they said in this one for the Riot one, they added the new keyword "true elusive" that can only be blocked by true elusive
Yes.
units.
Yes.
Like, okay, all right, it's very self-aware comedy.
They put horsemanship in.
Yeah.
So that's good. One that is pretty neutral, but I'm still like I'm over it now. Is the like fake product release? It's like okay, we know. I mean, April Fools needs to innovate now because it's like
Razer does that every year.
Razer,
right? Like, we're doing the Razer drone and like all.
Well,
that
the
crap.
first ones were funny because it was like the Razer toaster, and like it was before a lot of people were really doing it. This was like the Razer toaster was like probably over 5 years ago, and it was like, oh, this is funny because they like. You kind of think it's real, but then it's like, no, there's no way this is real. But it's like, man, they really made. And then they did one that was like a floating mouse or something. Like they did a good job of it, but now it's like, one of the companies like made the Elon Musk like Cybertruck mouse that's like the world's heaviest mouse, and it's like, you could also just not do that, and it would have been fine.
What we're saying is, if you're making it an April Fool's Day joke, make sure it's a furry dating simulator.
Yes, make sure you make an entire game for the game. Like, dedicate yourself to the bit, but it's a fine line.
Spend all year coding this game to release on April 1st.
Really, what we're saying is that we have a light episode because we spent 10 minutes talking about April Fool's pranks.
I did not even realize.
Yeah.
This is something that happens with Blevins and I when we talk. We just talk about stuff.
It's true.
For a long time.
It's true.
So we had the new patch, officially 0.9.3 come out.
Yes.
With the new vaults.
Yes.
It was a little bit of a rocky start. It was delayed a little bit just to make sure everyone was on the same, like, so people didn't open the wrong vaults and whatnot. But what did you think of your first new and improved vault?
It's nice. I think it's going to be even nicer when the next set comes out because basically I'm just right now I'm just getting a nebulous amount of shards, right?
Yeah.
And I have 45,000 shards right now and 3 expedition tokens. So I'm not super like, oh man, I need to make sure I max out my vault this week like I was the first few weeks, because it's like I actually went through and one of my buddies, shout outs to DeckPics.Live, my buddies made a really cool spreadsheet where I can track matches, and it like auto calculates like different matchup percentages and whatnot. It also tracks your collection, and I went through and I put in the cards I don't have, and I have I'm 93.4% complete.
Yeah.
Which is I'm right around 19,000 shards worth of cards. And I have 45,000, so I can very easily complete everything. So
but you have to give the game something to like give you in your, vaults when you open them, right? So that you're like, not always just shards. Like, oh, I actually got a card.
Yeah, I mean, I'm at the point where it doesn't matter at all. Like, I have everything, right? Like it, and like I'm glad that it took this long, because it's like now I'm like I have not been playing as much Expedition. Because it's like I'm a little bit hooked on Constructed right now, and we'll be actually doing a deck tech in a bit, which is a new little thing for us, because I've actually been playing some Constructed with an interesting deck.
We even have data and stats, guys.
I do have data and stats behind this.
We're almost a real podcast.
Close.
Almost.
Let's not get ahead of
I said almost.
But yeah, so I'm I think when the new set comes out, it'll be a lot more Expedition. It will be I might just do Expedition just to see how many wins I can get, because if we can go Infinite or whatever. I don't remember. Is that
Well,
what?
especially with
okay?
when there's new factions and stuff, that changes. Like something crazy about this, like thinking about expeditions, this game versus another game, like Magic, for instance, they're not adding another color it doesn't change, constructed or like expedition that much. There's like
Right.
going to be whole new factions, like completely different regions. So like that's going to
Right.
change drafting entirely. So that
Right.
I'm actually excited for that.
Yeah, and I'm wondering. Well, I think I don't know what the side. We don't know how the expansion or set or whatever. We don't know how they're actually going to do it. So it's like, is it going to be a full-fledged? Like, are we going to be doubling the number of cards in the pool? Is it going to be
Yeah,
like a
who
mini
knows?
expansion? Does that mean that Expedition is going to be like? Is it going to be more like Hearthstone? Or is it going to be more like Magic? Are we
Yeah.
going to be like?
They're going to add 7 new cards.
Right. We don't know. I mean, we have an
Yeah.
idea. There's been like data mining and stuff for things that are like champions and whatnot that are likely in the game, but it's like how we don't know how they're going to be distributed. Are we going to be getting a huge set? Are we going to be getting like so? Expedition could be entirely different because it could just be Expedition could just be set 2 or whatever.
Yeah, like
we don't know.
We don't know if it's going to be more like Teamfight Tactics does sets. Like who
Right.
knows? If they have
Well,
a
I hope it's
complete
not
new
like that
revolving
because-
thing,
Jeez.
who knows? It's possible.
I'm just gonna put it out there on the record. I don't want that to be the case, and people will riot if that's the case.
I don't think it will be, but I'm just saying, the world is Riot's oyster. With
True.
this game.
This is some free consulting. I think that would be a potentially game ruining decision to make.
Yeah.
Hey, all that stuff that because you spent money on shards and stuff. Oh, man, no, I don't even want
care.
that. I don't want. Yeah, no, that would be a we don't want to do this game anymore. Move from Riot.
We're really sick of this one. Let's just throw it in the trash.
Yeah, we're going to focus entirely on what is that game? What is the physical game called? Tellstones? Is that what it's called? The one that's coming out. I don't remember what it's called. Regardless, that's we're focusing on tabletop now entirely.
Yeah, exactly. I'm in.
I mean, I'm in for that, by the way.
Yeah,
except for the fact that we can't see other people anymore. But
except
except we're quarantined. So
yeah. So the other things, the XP changes went live, so you keep getting XP for your wins, which is really nice. I like that, which is pretty cool. What up though? There's a bunch of there's expedition changes because to go along with the vault. So then the other, I think, kind of like, it's not really a big thing, but it is kind of a big thing. They officially had the card text update for the harrowing. Is it harrowing or harrowing? I always F this up.
Yes.
Okay, it's one of them. It's the harrowing. So the harrowing. So it now says on the card that it revives the 6 strongest allies that died the game, which apparently is how it was supposed to originally work, and it just didn't.
Yeah.
So they're calling it a bug fix, not really a change. And the card changed how it worked during last patch, but they didn't update the like text on the card, but they updated it now. It was like an early bug fix that they went live.
Yeah, I honestly, I get it from a flavor standpoint, I guess, but also I kind of liked it where it revived everyone's units.
Oh yeah, I mean it made like Spooky Karma way more legitimate than it is now.
Well, it also made it way more legitimate, but it also gave it counterplay potentially, at least, because you could play the
solitary monk
and just ruin their harrowings potentially.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
it's
harrowing.
But
I missed that too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was probably corner case, and your opponent could play around it anyway, so maybe it wasn't really that much, but it was still, like, if you ever saw it happen, it was hilarious.
Well, but it's for those potentials where you have decks that literally don't play hardly any, creatures, units at all. Like, you play nothing, and it's all just ruinations and board removal. Right. At some point, there will be a deck where you play no dudes, it's all board wipes, and something like Harrowing to win, and, like, it prevents that, because then you're like, oh wait, this does literally nothing now.
Right. That's true. They did also add some card text clarity on a lot of cards.
Yeah, there's a ton, like legitimately a ton.
Yeah. Ancient Yeti, Arena Booker, Ash, Blade of Ledros, Commander Ledros, Corina Varazza, Crimson Curator, Dawn Speakers, Draven Biggest Fan, Draven's Whirling Blade, Agnivia, Elise, Eminent Benefactor, Flash of Brilliance, Garen's Judgment, Garen Level 2, Health Potion, Heimerdinger's Progress Day, Iceborne Legacy, Insight of Ages, Iron Harbinger, Jake's Level 2, Jubilant Poro, Judgment, Karma, Karma's Insight of Ages, Katarina, Kindly Tavern Keeper, Laurent Chevalier, Legion Marauder, Lonely Poro, Lucian Level 2, Lux, Minotaur Reckoner, Mr. Wraith, Noxian Guillotine, Poro Snacks, Progress Day, Purify, Rhymefang Wolf, Rhyme Tusk Shaman, Ritual of Renewal, Scaled Snapper, Single Combat, Static Shock, The Undying, Troop of Elnix, True Shot Barrage, War Mother's Call, Whirling Death, Weirding Stones, and Yasuo Level 2. Yeah. Why did I do that?
So then, because in post now you can like speed that up by ×3, and it's going to be amazing.
Yep, I'm not going to do that, but that's what we got there.
Could.
Oh,
that's
sorry, I missed one. Let me start over. Ancient Yin.
Yep. Yes. There's a lot. I didn't expect that one. That kind of came out of right field.
Yeah, it did. But yeah, I'm glad that they are making it a point to have card clarity for the wording. Again, like the two ends of the spectrum are Magic the Gathering, where everything is very literal, and
Hearthstone, where nothing is.
Yeah, Hearthstone, where everything's ambiguous, and cards that are worded the same way work differently sometimes because they want them to. Magic the Gathering, where it's like I can not play Magic for 5 years, come back, look at a card, and know exactly what it does.
Yep.
As long as I know, like, as long as it like has reminder text or rules text or whatever on it, I can look at the Oracle wording and know exactly what the card does.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why it's good, like this being an entire digital card game, they can put things like obliterate on the card and you can hover over it and see exactly what it does. Yeah. Like with the case with Corina, it now explains how it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what they can do, because part of the reason that Hearthstone does it, they could still do a better job, is that like things need to be squeezed down for mobile and all that stuff, which also needs to be the case for Runeterra, but you can also, right click the card and expand it out. And just like when you're looking at the art, just have like a second tab or whatever for the like Oracle text if they wanted to, so where they can really get into detail. So I like that they are actually making a point of doing this. I think that's extremely useful and beneficial to the community.
Yeah, there was also there's a couple bug fixes, but one that I don't know if you saw, I saw this on Reddit, but there was an issue where you could basically take a never-ending turn if you kept generating and casting burst spells, like your turn would just never end, and they fixed that. It's just pretty interesting.
Interesting. How is it possible to? Is it possible?
Yeah, you
to
could
cast
use like
spells.
Yeah, you could use, what is it, the dude that makes your burst spells cost one less.
Yep.
And then you use the counterfeit copies like on itself. I saw the video, and then they were somehow able to keep drawing cards. I forgot what they were doing, but it was
interesting.
They were using maybe Puffcat Peddler was in there, and yeah, it was a cool cycle.
Interesting. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with her being a combo. It's just it needs to end at some point, right?
Yeah, especially something like where you can't, like in Magic the Gathering, if you're at a tournament or whatever, you can be like, here's how my infinite combo works.
Right, you can display.
And like, okay, yeah,
you can demonstrate.
You don't have to actually do it 3,000 times.
Right.
Yeah. Where in this game, you could just be, and we talked about it last week, where people are just like roping for no reason, where they are turn one, do nothing in their aggro deck, and they just sit there. So you'll have those people like, well, I'm just going to keep playing for an hour and make my opponent watch. Like,
right.
Okay, I get it. You won.
Yeah. You really need to for like a competitive standpoint, like there can't be that sort of stuff in there because it's awful.
Especially when if it's not if it is a combo where you don't actually win, but you just your win conditions your opponent quitting because they're tired of watching you do this thing.
Right. Yeah, definitely don't want that. And from like tournament perspective, unless they start putting time like outside of the game time limits on the rounds, like it's just gonna muck it up quite a bit. So
yeah, but yeah, it was not a huge patch, but it was like it's good because it's things that are setting the standard moving forward, especially with economy. I mean, that's one of the big things when people ask, like, what's the difference between the game being in beta versus being out? And it's like, well, we're trying to figure these things out before the game's released. So I mean, we're all testers in this game. So
yeah, we're going to be seeing bigger system changes more often than we will once it's released. So definitely good stuff overall. One thing I do want to I want to touch on, even though I haven't experienced it personally, I've just seen it talked about a bunch on Twitter and Reddit, is that they did at least state that there are some changes to how LP and rank are given and taken away at master tier. In the patch notes, it says master tier players should see smaller swings in rank both up and down after each game. There were some folks on Reddit and on Twitter that were basically saying that they didn't experience this, at least anecdotally. I don't know what the sample size was. I don't know if it lined up with what the team wanted, but they were saying basically that they didn't feel a change in however many games they played over the course of a day or whatever. So something to, I guess, just something to note.
Knowledge for you.
Yeah, and when I get master, I'll let you know how it feels. Although I don't know what it used to feel like, so I guess I wouldn't be a good.
You could pretend.
I could. I don't know how
you could write a strongly worded Reddit post about how angry you are.
I sure could.
I'm just saying, these are all options. No, Blevins doesn't get angry.
No, that's true. It takes a lot. It takes a lot.
Yep.
So yeah, that's pretty much the patch. I'll put the link in the notes for you so you can check it out if you want, if you haven't already somehow. You can also find it, because we post them all, discord.me/Runeterrable Radio.
Nailed it.
Should be anyway. So let's move on and talk a little bit about little deck techie poo here.
Yeah, so this is our new try at a new segment that we just made up. We got a little deck tech for you guys. Blevins has been recording data, which is awesome, and keeping a spreadsheet on a pretty damn sweet deck, if I do say so myself.
Yeah. Also,
new segment.
I don't know why I made my voice higher like that, but we got it.
That was perfect. That is the new the new thing.
It is the
new segment. New segment.
Hold on, I can make
new
it.
segment.
Oh God, this is all
You've
being
ruined
recorded.
everything.
I've ruined everything.
Yep. So the deck, so this is the Corina play a 9-drop and win deck, right?
Yes, it is basically the Corina play a 9-drop and win deck. The other, it's the Corina. Also, there's Elise there, and there's kind of like a little mini spider package in there, but also just play a 9-drop and win deck. It essentially, so it's a Shadow Isles PNZ deck. Only champions are 3 Elises. The only followers are 3 Frenzied Skitterers, 2 Commander Ledros, and 3 Corina Verazzas. Everything else is spells. And pretty much all of those spells, with the exception of Brood Awakening, are kill spells of some sort. and Glimpse Beyond. Everything else
No,
is
it's still a kill spell.
That is true. That
kills
is
your
true.
own thing.
It kills your own thing. Yeah, this deck is actually, so right now I've been tracking my games in Diamond, which, by the way, I did hit Diamond. I don't remember if I had hit it yet or not last episode, but I did hit Diamond. So I'm currently, 13-6 or something? 1, 2, 3. 13-6 with the deck, so an all right win rate, I would say. At Diamond, yeah, I've played a pretty full swath of different decks as well, and it's a pretty standard control list, honestly. Like, it's There's not a lot of followers to play, so you're really just playing very reactively like a control deck normally would. You're killing their followers, you know, trying to take as little damage as possible, at least in some of the decks, and then just get to 9 mana, play a Ledros is still really good if you get to that point in the game.
No, he is still really good.
Yeah, so like Ledros is still really good in control mirrors, and then Corina is just backbreaking against Demacia decks.
Yeah.
So like you're playing a 6/6, which is already pretty good, and then you're also potentially just wiping their entire board.
Yeah, most of the time it's hitting for at least 4, usually 5.
Yeah, 3 to 5 for sure. I mean, I did get unlucky, although I ended up still winning, so I guess it didn't matter. I hit a 2. I hit a 2, which is like extremely unlucky. Like you need to hit multiple Elises or other Corinas and Commander Ledroses. So yeah, I mean it's quite good. It can have the sort of clunky hands where it's like, well, I've got 2 Ledros and a Corina in my hand right now, and it's turn 2.
And top deck a Ruination.
Right. At least like Ruination can buy you a lot of time. I think this deck in general, I think there's definitely a lot of room for improvement for it. I was even just sort of brainstorming, like, because it also runs an atrocity. It runs 1x atrocity, which has been all right. But it's like, if I just cut the Ledroses and the atrocity, or like I cut the Brood Awakenings, or I cut something, I could just play 3 Ezreals and just play essentially Ezreal, Shadow Isles Ezreal.
Yeah.
Because like it's running pretty much all the cards that you would be running if you were just running a standard Shadow Ezreal deck, but I guess that's maybe a little bit of a different deck. I'm kind of curious where the thought process for Elise came from, because it does work out. It's just kind of weird. It's like when you think of control deck, you're not necessarily thinking Elise right off the top, the top of your head for your champions.
I think it works just because it's early game pressure. Your opponent has to like at least respect her. And if she does flip, like all your dudes having Challenger is very good in a control deck.
Yeah, and it's definitely been good. And I think part of it is also, well, I think it's less so now because it's a little bit, it's not like a super mainstream deck, but it has been popping up a decent amount. I played against the Mirror one time. Actually only one time, but when you queue up against Elise P&Z, it could easily just be burn, right? Like it could be the all-in it could be the all-in burn deck. So
yeah, because there's that version that runs more of the aggressive spiders. You have the 3/2 fearsomes and the Boom Crew rookies.
Boom Crew rookies and the 3 mana 0/3 that drains them every time a creature dies, or pings them every time a creature dies. Prankster, yeah, Prankster. It could be Prankster aggro for sure. So
yeah.
And like if they ever keep a hand that's specifically for Prankster and you're playing this, like you're in a really good spot.
I mean, that's a legitimate thing. Like in Hearthstone, that would happen a lot where you'd play an off-meta version of a class, you know, that's if the class is known to be aggressive and you play a control version, it just screws up people's mulligans because they are just now like, wait, oh no.
Or it's like if they queue up Warlock, it's like, well, boy, I don't really know what like is it Zoo or is it Handlock? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's kind of counterintuitive because I did play. So Corina was one of my favorite cards in the closed beta. At like the very end of closed beta, I found out that she was sweet, and I was playing Ezreal. I think it was just Ezreal as the only champion with her, and I think it was also Shadow Isles, but it only played Grasp and Vengeance, and then the rest was just other targeted removal. It had all Mystic Shots, Thermo Beams, and all that, and it was pretty cool. So maybe something with Ezreal could work, like we were chatting about earlier.
Yeah, I think that this Shadow Isles Corina shell is super flexible because like there's a bunch of 2-ofs, like there's only 2 grasps in this, and by the way, I will also put the Mobalytics link in the show notes as well so you can see.
Yeah.
Deck. so you can take a look at the deck as well. But like, I mean, there's really no you don't necessarily need to run the Ledros. You don't necessarily need to run Atrocity. You can play around with the number of ruinations. You can cut the Brood Awakenings. Like, you don't necessarily need to have Elise. Elise is interesting because like she in and of herself is a threat. Like, you can't completely ignore her. Now, it's not the hardest thing to deal with.
No.
But you pair her with Brood Awakening, which is specifically not a follower, and Brood Awakening and Elise is that is a game winning. Like, those two cards can win you the game if unanswered.
Yeah.
Skitterer,
especially if you have a Skitterer.
Right, Skitterer is just a great card in general because like it's offensive, it's defense, like it plays both, right? Which is really what this deck wants, because the number of times where my opponent maybe had more of a control heavy hand, it's just like, and I go turn 2 Elise and attack with it and flip it on turn 3. It's like I'm still like, it doesn't matter if you have the late game secured, bud. Like, you're dead. Like, you win the old fashioned way with the spiders. So it's definitely been an interesting deck. I've had a decent amount of success with it. Again, I mean, take it for what it's worth. I'm at low diamond right now, but I think it is able to, it rewards you for knowing, like, am I the beatdown or am I the control? I think we've mentioned a couple of times on the show the classic article by Mike Flores from 1999, "Who's the Beatdown?" Highly suggest you look that one up if you haven't read it already. It's just a good like game theory type of article. But like there's 2 Get Excited, 3 Mystic Shots, Static Shiv. Like, there's a non-zero amount, and the Atrocity. There's a non-zero amount of just face burn in this deck.
And
so,
Ledros.
Ledros, right? So, like, the decision of, do I Mystic Shot their 2 health? Do I Mystic Shot their 2 health follower, or do I like Thermogenic Beam it for 6? Like, those are the types of decisions that you're going to have to make, and knowing the correct answer is you're going to be rewarded for that, right? Like, knowing what you need to do. So it feels very rewarding to play the deck as well.
Well, and also, I mean, Corina herself is also burned. Like, she hits the Nexus. Like, it's awesome. I think that's one of my something that like drew me to Piltover and Zaun as a region, like originally, is how flexible their removal is. Like you said, do you use this Get Excited on their dude, or do I inefficiently use a Thermo Beam so that I can just Get Excited their Nexus later because now I'm the aggressor?
Yep. Yeah, it's definitely been a fun deck, and like, it's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for the, like, you definitely want to know the matchups a little bit and play around with it, because like Brood Awakening is just really bad sometimes, but also knowing when to pull the trigger on it, or like baiting things out, like baiting out their Withering Whales and whatnot. It can be really good. And like, sometimes you just have 2 Brood Awakenings in your hand and you have to go either double Brood Awakening in one turn, or like go like back-to-back Brood Awakenings and just attack them for a bunch. Being able to do that combat math and knowing when to do that, knowing when to open attack, knowing when to play a Skitterer for, like, all those things. There's so many different angles you can go. All of those things are I think rewarded in this deck. So if you like that style of deck, if you like a deck that you can you're going to have a better time with the deck the more you play it, in terms of like win rate. Like, you're going to learn more of the matchups and know what cards to play around and whatnot. And you also want a deck that has like a lot of flexibility in terms of like where you can go. You can tweak the numbers on a lot of these cards and be in an all right spot. Yeah,
like, and the core package of the deck, like, you can change so much of this around to fit your play style and what you enjoy. I think it's something, and since it has, like, you could technically run no champions if you wanted to, like, depending on what you like.
Yeah, I mean, you could run, again, I think you could very easily convert this into an Ezreal deck, not even run the Elise at all. And like, I've played a little bit of like Shadow Isles Ezreal. I think the more common versions are pretty much every other region. Pretty much every
all of
other
them,
region.
but everyone else. This is
Except
like the one time people prefer Freljord.
Yeah, which is weird. Which is kind of weird. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I always thought that this was like, without looking too deep into it, that Shadow Isles would be the best one to pair with Ezreal. But I guess like, I don't know, it's different. But yeah, Corina Control, the play 9 drop and win deck. Definitely, I definitely suggest it. It's certainly not a fast climbing deck, because it is a control deck. If you want a fast, maybe we can do another deck tech next week or another week. The deck I actually played that I played pretty much entirely through Plat. I was wavering around like in Plat 4 and Plat 3 for a long time, and then I found or just was like beating my head against the wall and picked up Darius Elise Spiders, like just hyper aggro, like literally can't ever beat Judgment deck. That deck carried me entirely through Plat. I wish I would have been tracking the stats, because I think I had a ridiculous win rate in Plat with that. Like I think I lost under 10 games with that deck from Plat 4 0 LP to Diamond.
And when your games are only like 7 minutes long.
Yeah, the games are really quick, and like again, it's not like the number one deck that's played by the most people. Like, it's not elusives where like people are ready for it and are teching against it. Like, people aren't teching against that. Also, people still to this day play poorly around Darius. They never expect it.
Yeah.
They block wrong. They're not planning on him flipping during the combat. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I still get people I and it's funny because like I'm on the exact opposite spectrum of Blevins at all times.
Yeah.
I've been climbing with War Mother's Control, because what else would I be playing, right? And it's still the same thing with Tryndamere. People still forget how Overwhelm works. So I'm sitting
he's a tough one to play around.
Yeah, I've been sitting around like Plat 2, Plat 1, and of course I'm climbing so slow because all I'm playing is War Mother's Control because it's my favorite deck. But still, people like will glimpse the thing that they blocked with Trend. I'm like, that just gave me lethal.
Oh,
sweet.
yeah.
At Plat 1, I'm like, you probably should know this by now, but okay.
That's definitely wrong. The toughest thing is that if you kill him in combat, he transforms and is still in combat.
Yes, he is.
Which I don't blame people for messing that one up, but when like you just don't know how Overwhelm works, it's like, come on, you done goofed.
That's what I actually saw on Twitter. I should have taken note of this, but so we all know the Bannerman Demacia decks are kind of still the flavor of the week. They're everywhere. They're good. They're consistent. They're fast. They're powerful. But I saw someone that was playing. I should have taken note, but it was Mono Demacia, but they were only splashing Noxus for might.
Yep. Casanova was running that deck a decent amount.
Yeah, because they're like, I mean, we're playing Lucian. They even run Senna, and they're like, Lucian with Might's really good, as it turns out.
Yes, it is. Yes, he is.
And they made like, I forgot, man, I should have really taken note. I'm so unprepared. But it was like top 50 or something master rank, and they're like, people are still screwing up Overwhelm math, and I'm using it to my advantage.
Yeah. Well, that one is tough because you can't play around it because you don't know that they have the might. Like they get the might out of nowhere, and it's like, okay, well, I can block the Lucian and he's gonna flip, but I'm just chumping him. It's like, nope, actually he's now gonna be a 7-power double striker that has trample or overwhelm.
It's like, wait, what?
You just
How
lost.
is this possible?
Yeah.
Turns out you dead.
Turns out you are very dead. I was actually playing that one a decent amount, but again, like, everyone's teched against those decks. Like, I'm fine. I mean, I literally have the stats. What is my win rate against Demacia?
Because I was gonna say, didn't you say it was doing really good against Demacia?
Yeah, I'm 80% win rate against Demacia.
Yeah, which is solid.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm 100% win rate against Noxus. So it's the way that this is set up is a little like, it's as good as it could be, but it's tough because he's got it set up for like single region versus single region because but it's really cool. I'm actually I kind of want to ping him and see if he can make like a public one or if that's even possible to do. Because that would be cool if people wanted to use it.
Yeah. Well, and you were mentioning this, how for you tracking stats and stuff made your climb more enjoyable, correct?
Yeah, it definitely has, and it's put things much more in perspective. And I felt the same way when I would play Hearthstone too.
Yeah.
It's like, man, a loss feels really bad, but when you're looking at it and it's just like one of like 20 games, and you can see like I can look and be like, okay, I'm actually winning right now. Like I'm plus LP. I'm overall I'm winning, and like, oh, my bad matchup is here. Oh, I can see that I'm really good against Demacia, so maybe I can take out a little bit of the Demacia hate and focus it more towards something else.
Yeah.
It just paints a much better picture. It makes me more cognizant. It makes me even just the act of like, I can't just like jump in and like mindlessly play a ranked game, because it's like, okay, no, I want to make sure I have my spreadsheet up. I'm going to track the game, because like if you stop tracking them, you might as well just not do it at all, right? Because if you're missing data, you might as well just not do it at all. I don't know. I that's just how I like to do it. I know a lot of people have that sort of mindset too, of just like, I like the stats, I like seeing it. So it'd be really nice. And I don't remember if Uthgar said that this was something that was coming in Mobalytics or not, but it would be really nice to have just like the stats tracked. I know it's definitely one of the most requested things, so it'd be really cool.
Yeah. I mean, especially for those, but like I'm a huge data person. I love spreadsheets and data. Like that's just me as a person. And I would do this like when I was climbing on like even playing paper Magic. I would like next to me, I'd keep a sheet of paper, and at Friday Night Magic, I would record, win rates against specific decks. And I would do this climbing in Hearthstone. I'd keep my notebook next to me and I'd take notes, like when I was going for Legend for the first time. And I think data is important. It'll make you a better player.
It definitely will. It also, in my esports boomer brain, it helps me remember things better.
Yeah.
Because like like I would just be like putting notes. Like if it was a pretty standard matchup and things went as expected, I wouldn't put anything. But if I was playing against a weird matchup, or like I played against Fiora Shen, right, which is kind of an offbeat deck, and it's like, okay, I'm going to see how this works out. I am going to never play Brood Awakening I'm going to wait as long as I can to play Brood Awakening so he doesn't just get to eat it with Fiora. I'm also going to use I'm going to ignore Shen, and I'm going to just try to kill the Fiora, and that works. So I'm like, like I wrote that down as just a quick note, ignored Shen, just killed Fiora. So the next time I play it, I don't need to figure that out again. I know, or I mean, obviously that's a small sample size, but like I know that has worked before. I can try that again, maybe. And things
or just kill Ezreal.
Right. Just like save or the thing I talked about before. It's like, okay, save your mystic shots, because this is going to get to the end game and they're going to be at like 6 health and you need to just get over the top. So save your mystic shots. Use your thermogenic beam, even if it's an inefficient thermogenic beam. Use that instead of using the mystic shot, because you can never thermogenic beam their face.
Yeah, I would, because I've played a lot of just various P and Z control decks, mostly with Heimerdingers, but like I would get that all the time playing like Heimerdinger Lux or whatever, and people would get mad at me on stream like, you just thermogenic beamed for 8 on their 2-drop. I'm like, yeah, because I'm going to use these Get Exciteds on their face.
Exactly.
I'm going to kill them with Get Excited at some point.
Yes, give me aggro brain.
Yeah, sometimes you need to just shoot their Nexus.
Yep. Absolutely. So yeah, let us know what you thought about this section. Let us know if you've played the deck at all, and if you have any questions or anything, hit us up in Discord, discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. That's the place to go.
And let us know if there are like a specific deck that you guys are all chomping at the bit to get information on. Yeah. Like if we get a lot of people, like if we get 20 people that are like, yeah, we all want to see this, I'll definitely go, get some data on it and grind some games.
Yeah, I'm more than willing to play some games competitively for sure. I personally am not going to play meme decks in ranked, at least, so don't send me meme decks. I know that's more of
send them to me.
Saucy's. Yeah, I was gonna say
send them all to me.
that's Saucy's thing. I just don't enjoy playing meme decks in ranked, so I don't want to do that. But I know that's where the Saucy mailman comes in.
Give me all your Timo Ledros decks. I don't care. I'm in. I'm in.
For sure. One other thing I wanted to mention before we get into one or two viewer questions here is the so the past couple of weeks there's been the Monokuma esports sort of open event that's been happening. They've just started streaming it. I think this week is actually going to be the first week that they're going to have a stream production ready for it, and myself and Casanova are going to be streaming at least some of that day 1 and day 2, so this Saturday and Sunday. So check that out. That's going to be some high level play. The players themselves have been streaming it, so if you've been keeping an eye on that at all, that's been really good. There's been some really good matches, and I mean, like, all of the top players essentially, at least in NA and EU, are playing in those because it's the only tournaments that are out there. Yeah. So definitely keep an eye out for some competitive play. And actually, it's an open event, so if you want to play in it, I believe that the person that runs it is actually in our Discord, so you can hit us up. You can hit myself up or just ask about it in the general chat, and we'll point you in the right direction to get signed up for those tournaments.
Ping Blevins.
Yeah, ping me, and we'll get you the link as well. So really cool there. Okay, Saucy, let's do a couple.
Let's crush some questions. I want to answer this one first.
Okay, go for it. Go for it.
This is less of a Runeterra specific one, but I think the answers could be fun. Quick Spike asked yesterday, what kind of music are you guys listening to if you're playing serious decks?
Ooh.
So I can answer this because I know, like, if I'm just chilling and playing games, I don't often do this, to be honest, because I'm usually streaming when I'm playing the game. But if I am, by myself playing, I like to listen to a lot of synthwave, a lot of dark synthwave. So lately I've been listening to a lot of like Toxic Avenger, a lot of Pyramid, Variant. I've been listening to a lot of Varian, Starcadian, and Danger. So those are some people if you like synthwave, dark stuff.
Dark Star Vanguard, is that one?
Yeah, Dark Star Vanguard.
Mech Pilot Infiltrator, is that another one?
Yeah. What was it?
Star
Rebel
Guard,
Blasters.
Rebel Blast. Hold me close. Wait. I got.
We're waiting for it.
Hold me closer, Rebel Blaster.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people comment about that, and they like it. Everybody loves it.
Good. You have to.
Got to. How could you not? Yeah, so I am one of those weird people where I am almost completely apathetic about music. I'm like one of those people that I don't not like music, but like where people are like, dude, music speaks to me. I'm just like, no, I just like to listen to it sometimes or not. I'm almost always watching a stream of some sort, and they almost always have music, so a lot of times I'm just listening to what Saucy's listening to because I'm just watching his stream while I'm playing. But yeah, I mean, I listen to. I mean, it really depends. I need to be in a specific mood to even want to listen to music while I'm playing. So I don't know. That's about as good of an answer as I get. Sometimes if I'm playing aggro and I just want to get in the zone, I just listen to Slayer. There you go.
Nice. There you go. Ooh, Magic Sword too. That's a good one. Listen to more Magic Sword, everyone.
Magic Man.
Yes. All right, pick another one. God, we need to start getting through some of these questions.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna go out the top here. Yunhao asks, "What's the best deck now?" And they specifically want to get. They want people to get at each other's throats in debate. So, the best deck right now is probably Noxus Ezreal, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
It's close. I think there's probably 3 decks that you could that you could say, and they'd all probably be relatively close. There's like 3, I think, tier 1 or maybe like S tier or whatever. I don't even think S tier is right. It's probably tier 1. Draven Ezreal, just straight up elusives with the Freljord splash is the most common one, but you can really, I mean, you can splash whatever, like that. Those the 6 slots or whatever are all up. And then Bannerman again with a splash of some sort. I think those are the 3 archetypes that are the most powerful right now. Probably the best. If I needed to take 3 decks to a tournament, which a lot of these formats do, I would probably take a Bannerman deck. I would probably do it differently because I want to play different decks. Like the decks that I've been using are different.
But if you're just saying like raw power,
laddering. Elusives, Ezreal, probably Draven as your second Noxus / Draven as your your secondary pairing with Ezreal, and elusives are the 3 I think best decks right now.
Yep, I would strongly agree. Honestly, I think those are probably the 3 top contenders. I think this Corina control may be close once it's refined because it does seem very powerful. And I've seen some people, actually, my Twitter feed's been like a lot about Corina lately, so I could see that once it's refined being up there. I don't think it's there. I don't know if it's necessarily at this exact time in recording.
Right,
it could change completely tomorrow. I don't think it's refined enough to be there.
Right,
but whereas like the Kinku elusives, the Bannerman deck, Ezreal, like people have been playing these like a lot and know the matchups in and out, and I think that they're very powerful.
Yeah, I think that the powerful thing about those decks, like specifically for ladder, is that they're super consistent and they're relatively meta proof, right? Like I think that there's like Lux variants, whether it's like Ezreal Lux or Lux Karma, like there's variants there that can be really, really good in certain matchups. Like better than any of those decks potentially in certain matchups, but are also just like they can get rolled sometimes as well. So,
they're all very like neutral. Like they have gameplay against everything out there. They're solid. They're consistent. Like that's one of the biggest reasons the Kinku Elusive deck is so good. Like it's very consistent. Like your bad matchups, you still can just win. Like even. I could play the most favored War Mother's control game against the Kinku Elusives and have all the answers, and they could still just at some point play a gigantic Zed that they've buffed with their Jeweled Protector and just win because I'm out of stuff to do. Like you have a way to win all those matchups.
That's I think that's probably my criteria for it. Like I think one of the scariest cards just in general to play against for me is actually Karma. I think Karma's one of the most powerful cards just in the game right now. I think even more than Heimerdinger, more than maybe not Ezreal. Ezreal's probably the biggest one, but like even Karma Ezreal itself is really, really good. It's like the thing about that deck is like it's just card advantage, which is always going to be good, and it also like in effect makes your stuff like uncounterable, like literally. Like protects it from deny, but then also like, I'm just going to get stuff going. And late game, you also can just win the control mirror by having a flipped Karma and just playing another Karma in your hand because it will put 2 Karmas in your deck. Like, you literally can't even be like lose the fatigue or the mill game. Well, not mill, but getting decked out. So I fear Karma, I think the most. And I think that a Karma deck that's brought and in like the right matchups and is in a good spot there is really scary. And also like having to play around Deny and Will of Ionia and like
even
all
like like a lot of the tricks they have, even all the Deathmark package decks.
Deathmark, all that stuff. It's like it's just annoying to play around those, and like because there's so many different options that they can have, not to mention the fact that Karma's just literally making random cards in your hand. It's like there's so many spots where you as the opponent of Karma can mess up and they can capitalize on it. So
Yeah, Karma's one of those cards that like from a game design perspective has one of the highest abilities to break the game at some point.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going to happen. Well, there'll be something happens and she just breaks the game because her effect is so unique and it's so strong. Like double casting spells is absurd.
Yeah.
And that's why she's spooky control is still good. Double casting ruination, you're like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Like, all right.
Yeah, it's just tough. So there's my long-winded answer for you there.
And we both agreed, which that's saying something.
Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, let's do one more here, Saucy. I'll let you pick.
Oh man, I don't like picking. I'm not good at that. I think we already answered this one.
I'm pretty sure we answered this. Shift 5. Okay, let's finish on this one.
Okay.
So, Spook Show Scream Queen asks, bugs and balancing aside, what's the one thing Riot needs to prioritize right now in order for the game to retain/gain players? That could be a whole episode, honestly.
That could. I think like if just my gut thing is gonna be the competitive scene in tournament mode. It's a competitive card game. It's in the name of the genre, right? Like people like to like it's cool and all getting a high rank on ladder, but that only means so much.
Right.
When you can incentivize someone in a big tournament or, being able to cast tournaments and all that, like that's what I want. Like me personally, I'm not even a huge competitive player, but like I know Blevins feels the same way about this, is where I love casting games.
Yep.
Like that's one of my favorite things. Some of the most fun I had with Hearthstone was when I was casting a lot of tournaments. Like it's a completely different thing. And I don't know, like there are so many games that I don't play at all, but I follow them competitively, like Counter-Strike. I watch a ton of Counter-Strike. I watch a lot of Overwatch, and I have no interest in playing these games.
Yep.
And so I don't know. I love being around competitive play. I love seeing tournaments. I love seeing high-end play, even if I don't ever care to be the number one challenger player.
Right.
I like seeing that person play the game.
Yeah, I agree, and I think at even a higher level, breaking it down, it's like just incentive in general is a big thing. And I think, a lot of people look at a game like this, they look at a game like TFT, and it's like, oh, it's a Riot game, which means that they're going to follow the exact same path as League. We're going to see, and people are, I've already seen more in TFT because it's been out obviously a little bit longer, but even in Runeterra, it's like, oh, well, when is the LCS for Runeterra coming out? And I'm like, I think you're thinking about this the wrong way. I don't think that a card game is going to be in the same way that, like, not every traditional sport is the same exact format and has the same structure and all that stuff. I don't think we're going to see that for a card game and a MOBA are different things inherently.
Yeah.
I've been following Supercell, who makes mobile games like Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, Brawl Stars, those games, like AAA quality mobile games. I've been following them for a long time, but in the past few weeks, I've actually been looking even more so into them because TFT and Runeterra are coming out / have come out in Singapore at least on mobile. And I think like if we're going to like I think Riot and Runeterra specifically, and this is sort of mirrored for TFT as well, they're in a spot where like Supercell has the like 5 minute and under like full gameplay experience. They have that nailed down. Yeah. You can play, if you haven't played Clash Royale, I kind of don't suggest you do it because you can get addicted to it, and you can they are very, very good, almost to the point of predatory, I would argue, about sucking money out of you. Because it's like you get cards to build your deck, but then you need to upgrade the cards to get them high enough levels so that when you get to a certain, like all those like mobile game sort of things that like Riot is not trying to do, or at least I don't think they are. But at the same time, they also have like one of the best spectator modes. Like you can just go in and watch someone's game as it's happening immediately, and you can see both players. Like it's fantastic. They have a thing called Clash TV where I can go and it will just, I don't know how their algorithm works, but it will just take like close games from top players, and it will take close games from top players in every single division essentially, and have like a list called Clash TV where I can just go in and watch the replay. And I can speed it up and do all these things. Like if you wanted to cast Clash Royale, it's the easiest thing in the world to do, because literally every few hours there's like new high level matches that you could cast immediately. They have in-game tournaments where like if I wanted to run 100-person tournament, I pay and have an in-game prizes. You can do that.
That's pretty cool.
It's amazing what they do, and they're a mobile game. It's not even a PC game that ported to mobile. Now, they didn't have all this at launch. They did have a surprising amount of it at launch, though. But also, it's their only game, and they're a different company, et cetera, et cetera. Though, coincidentally, owned both Riot and Supercell, or at least Riot is 100% owned by Tencent. Supercell is partially owned by Tencent. So same sort of family of investments.
Oh, nice.
But that's neither here nor there. I think I'm looking way more towards what Supercell is doing in terms of the game and also the esports side of it than I am looking at LCS specifically. Now, I think Runeterra and TFT are not going to, and probably shouldn't ever be, 5-minute and under games. But
yeah, no,
that would be that's just a different game, right? But I do think that Runeterra and TFT are primed to define what the 20-minute game is, like the between 15 and 30-minute game. And like if you are over 30, something crazy happened and it's probably awesome. And if you're under 15, something crazy happened and maybe it's not. That is, I think, unlikely to happen. But I think Runeterra's kind of close though. Like you can have really quick games. Maybe 15 is not the right number, but
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Where it's like you're not going to see a 60-minute game of LOR. It's unlikely. You can have a match with like best of 3 or whatever, but I think that like Clash Royale specifically does a fantastic job of creating content. They have their essentially ladder. They have tournament mode in the game. They have different challenges. They have all this different stuff that when you boil it down is all just incentive to keep coming back.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of it's an interesting topic. So I have a good friend who he's an investor in Magic the Gathering. He's put a lot of money, and that's where a lot of his investments are. But there was an interesting article talking about how there's going to be a very large void in the competitive card game market because of all of these local game stores. They're shutting down because of the pandemic that's going on, right? That's a thing that's happening.
Yep.
It sucks. It's somber, but a lot of businesses are closing, and there's a very large void in the physical card game market, where depending on when these things are implemented with Runeterra, I mean, if they could capitalize and be one of the best online tournament go-to games for that entire segment that is doesn't have a home, that could be huge for the game.
Yep. Yeah, I think incentives just inside the game, and then also giving the tools and enabling community to do that. And then also obviously having some sort of Riot specifically, either pro tournaments or league or whatever it is. I mean, I don't know what the scale is.
Some sort of like
or
pro
maybe
tour
I
or
do
something.
know what that is. I can define it myself, but hashtag hire me Riot. But yeah, hey, sometimes you just got to shoot your shot when you're open. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it boils down to you need reason to keep coming back. That's one thing that Hearthstone absolutely did not do for me when I was the player who had all the cards, or at least for all intents and purposes, had all the cards, and I hit Legend, and I'm not like, pushing for top Legend because that's that whole series, that whole thing is ridiculous. And I'm also not doing tournaments because the tournaments were really crappy and not well done online, and I'm not traveling the country to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I had no real reason to come back, and that's why I ended up quitting Hearthstone a lot. Eventually I got to the point where I was just like, I'll just play to play or whatever, and that's fine. But if they want a more in-depth, like, I was never, after the initial like push for me, which was like back in like 2015 or whatever, like, from then on, I was never really into Hearthstone at all. Like, I played and I kept up a little bit with the meta, and I would watch streams every once in a while, but I was not an in-depth person. I was not an engaged person. And I think that that is a huge, huge thing. What can Riot do? What can the Legends of Runeterra team do to keep the community players, from the new player all the way up to, the gummies of the world, who's like top 20 or top 30 on the ladder right now? What is keeping him coming back and playing besides going for number one? And what if he hits number one? Are you coming back just to do that? Are you coming? I mean, streaming is a different thing, but like, like, if you can do tournaments, community tournaments, have something else to get, whether that's cosmetics or something, I don't know, but having something there is very important, I think.
Yeah, 100% agree.
So, no, belaboring the point, but that's, I think, extremely important. And I think that just shifting the mindset from like, oh, this is going to be, Legends of Runeterra is going to be the next CSGO or LCS is, I think you're thinking about it wrong. I did talk to one of the NA casters for Clash Royale, and he was telling me about like how the scene works, and it's cool. Like, the game itself is a different thing, and then they have like, their pro leagues and whatnot, and I think that model, something closer to that, is attainable, and what I think we as a community should be looking at. But really cool. And wow, we actually made it to a full episode's worth of time. I did not think we were gonna
because we're amazing.
Because we're amazing, and we can talk for an hour and 15 minutes about anything. But guys, if you do have questions that you want to have us answer, we can't guarantee when we have weeks like this is when we get through some of these questions, which is nice. But head over to discord.me/Runeterrable Radio. It's the place where you want to be for all the community stuff. We're posting links, all that good stuff. But Saucy, when we're not quarantined and we're not sick and we're not here, where can people find you?
Yeah, again, I'm sorry, everyone. It's been almost 12 days now since I've streamed, but normally I do stream on Twitch, on twitch.tv/SaucyMailman, and youtube.com/SaucyMailman. I came out with a TFT video this week. Yeah, it was fun, but yeah, usually I post a lot more. It's been a little vacant because I've not been able to get out of bed for a couple weeks.
Yeah, so we are just happy that we had you here and that you're in at least relatively good health. And
I didn't die.
That is good.
So that's good.
We chalk that up as a W here. You can find the show, again, discord.me/Runeterrable Radio or twitter.com/Runeterrable, Runeterrable.com, DeckPics.Live as well. Is where we find all of our stuff. You can find me on Twitter at @the_Blevins, but the Discord is going to be the best place to find me. But that is going to be it for Saucy Mailman. I'm the Blevins, and we'll catch you next week. We'll talk about some more Legends of Runeterra.